Hello everyone and welcome to this fourth and final episode of my UEFA Nations League prediction series, where today I will be analyzing and predicting the four groups of League D. So without further ado, let's kick things right off with Group 1. The four participating teams in this group are Georgia, Latvia, Kazakhstan and Andorra. In my opinion, the big favorite to win this group would have to be Georgia. Even though they don't come after a particularly impressive World Cup qualifying campaign, where they finished with a pretty low 5 points, and which they only got after drawing 5 games and losing a further 5, I still think that during those qualifiers they showed some very positive signs, as tying against all of the other teams of their group except for just Serbia is something not any team can achieve, especially in this division. And also I believe that during the friendlies in the first part of this year they won all but one and are heading into this group with possibly the best form. And also, in my opinion, a team which I believe can provide a big challenge for them would have to be Latvia, as they finished with 7 points in their qualifiers, which they got by defeating actually Andorra 2 times and drawing once against the Faeroe Islands. We still need to keep in mind that they are the current champions of the Baltic region, leaving behind teams such as Lithuania or Estonia, which currently play in League C of the UEFA Nations League, and have a pretty strong team which shouldn't be taken lightly. Another interesting team would be Kazakhstan, which obviously will provide a nightmare of an away fixture to the teams in this group, except for maybe Georgia, which isn't as much away in distance as Latvia or Andorra. And even though they finished recent World Cup qualifiers with only 3 points and in the last place of their group, I still think that they have some pretty big chances in this group to even possibly get promoted. And finally, Andorra do enter in as the winners of this group, but we need to keep in mind that during the last qualifiers they actually managed to beat Hungary in a very surprising result, to finish the World Cup qualifiers with 4 points. And that result against Hungary is proof that that Andorra is a team which will cause a lot of damage to the 3 other teams in this group. Keeping all this information in mind, I came up with a final prediction for the group ranking, which sees Georgia finishing in first. I think that they will just have something more than Latvia, which will just narrowly miss out on the top spot. I think that Kazakhstan will do pretty good in this group and will use their pretty significant home advantage to their favor. However, I don't think that they will get more than 3rd place. However, I still think that they will get enough points in this group to finish above Andorra, because even though it's a major possibility that they may create some shock results in this group, I still don't think that Andorra is yet at a high enough level to equally compete with these 3 other teams, and I don't think that they will go more than the 4th and final place in this group. Now let's carry on with Group 2, which will consist of Belarus, Luxembourg, Moldova and San Marino. And looking at the teams in this group, I'd have to say that the 2 teams that stand out to me would have to be Belarus and Luxembourg. And this is because I believe that these will be the 2 sides which will challenge each other until the end for the top position and for the promotion to League C. And what makes this even more interesting is the fact that these 2 teams were actually in the same qualifying group for the World Cup, where Luxembourg was ahead in head-to-head games, drawing one and winning the other. And also in the end they did manage to just barely finish above Belarus. And not to mention that football in Luxembourg has had a major rise throughout the recent years, as only last year their team provided a major surprise by holding France to a goalless draw. And this year, for the first time in their history, they managed to get a team do the launch to actually qualify for the group stages of the Europa League. So, as I said, I think this will be a really interesting battle. I can see both teams having pretty similar chances, and it will certainly be a great fight to watch. Meanwhile, Moldova, I think, won't really be a serious contender in this group. I think that they may still at max 1 or 2 points from the top 2 teams, but their performance in the qualifiers, where they only drew 2 games and lost the rest, and also the recent form right now, shows that they're not really a major contender for this group. And finally, for San Marino, there's not a lot to say more than just the fact that they finished the World Cup qualifiers with a goal difference of -49, and I think that it would be a huge shock if they even got a single point in this group. So for my prediction of the final ranking of this group, I actually decided to go with Luxembourg in the top place as a team to get promoted to League C. And I chose this because, as I said before, I believe that undeniably football in Luxembourg is on the rise, and I think that it will continue rising. And in my opinion, just like they did in the World Cup qualifiers, I think that Luxembourg will just barely have enough to narrowly top this group ahead of Belarus. And in third place, I see Moldova. I don't think that they'll cause too much damage to the top 2 sides, but they'll still be in a very comfortable position to finish in third place. And finally, even though it wasn't a really thoughtful prediction to make, I decided to go with San Marino at the bottom of this group, and I think that there's a very slim chance that they will go any higher than that. Group 3, which in my opinion will be the most tightly contested group, is made up of Azerbaijan, the Faeroe Islands, Malta, and Kosovo. In my opinion, in this group there will be a real 3-way battle between Azerbaijan, the Faeroe Islands, and Kosovo, as I believe that all 3 of these teams are capable of winning this group and gaining promotion. Out of these teams, the team that finished the World Cup qualifiers with the most points was Azerbaijan with 10 points, but we still need to keep in mind that 6 of these points came against San Marino, which I believe is an opponent that all of the teams in this group could comfortably beat. Meanwhile, the Faroe Islands still finished their group with a really high total of 9 points, and unlike Azerbaijan, they didn't really have a team which they could just head into their game and almost have a guaranteed victory. And finally, we have Kosovo, which unlike these 2 other teams, did several times worse in the World Cup qualifiers, where they only finished with a single point. However, we still need to keep in mind that that was their first real experience in international football, and even looking at their team, you can see that they have many young talents split all throughout different teams in Europe. And I think that the new coach that has come in has been really succeeding in putting them together, which has been shown in the friendlies that they have played this year. And I think that this good form will carry on into this group, and I think that Kosovo really has a lot of chances in this group. And the team that completes this group is Malta. Even though it is Kosovo, which is the lowest seeded team in the group, I still think that Malta is undoubtedly the team which comes into this group as the underdogs. They finished the World Cup qualifiers with a single point, and they have a much more worse team than these 3 other teams. In conclusion, I will controversially predict that low-seeded Kosovo will actually end up winning this group. And I think so because, as I said, they have some really key players and many talents throughout some of the top teams in Europe. And I think that they have got enough experience to be able to put those talents together and to create a team which can manage to defeat their opponents, especially at this level of football. So I think Kosovo at the top, Azerbaijan and the Faeroe Islands not too far behind. I see Azerbaijan and the Faeroe Islands actually at a pretty similar level, but I think that Azerbaijan will just have something more. And even though the Faroe Islands is actually on a major rise, as they got some pretty amazing results recently in the qualifiers for the World Cup, I still think that this tournament will still be a stepping ladder for their rise, and I don't think that they're really ready yet to gain promotion into League C. And finally, that leaves Malta at the bottom of this group. Obviously, they can get relegated, as this is the very bottom of the football pyramid in this new UEFA Nations League system. I don't really think that they will provide that much of the challenge to the three other teams, as I said before, but I still think that they won't finish with 0 points, unlike San Marino, and I think that the points that they steal off of some of these teams could prove crucial in determining the top positions in the group. Macedonia, Armenia, Lichtenstein and Gibraltar are the four teams that make up Group 4, which is also the final group that we'll analyze for today. And in my opinion, both Macedonia and Armenia were really unlucky to get drawn in the same group, as I believe that if they were in different groups, both would be really serious contenders for promotion. However, the fact is that they're both in the same group and they will have to fight it out with each other to decide the single team that will win this group and get promoted. And looking at these two teams, I'd have to say that the favorite as of right now is Macedonia, as they had a pretty decent World Cup qualifying campaign, finishing with 11 points in an extremely tough group, which also comprised of teams such as Spain and Italy. While Armenia didn't do such a great job, finishing with 7 points, and towards the end finished with a very bad streak of results. And I think that that bad form that they're carrying on to this tournament will not help them in any way. And then meanwhile, on the opposite side, we have two teams like Liechtenstein and Gibraltar, which both finished the World Cup qualifiers with 0 points and a pretty embarrassing goal difference. So I think that we will see actually some very hard-fought games between them, as they are both at pretty much the same level. But if I had to choose between them, I'd have to say that Liechtenstein might just have a little bit more in both the quality of their players, as well as the fact that they have a bit more experience, because this recent World Cup qualifiers were actually the first competitive games that Gibraltar played in FIFA. So I think that that could definitely play a role in deciding which team gets third place and which team gets fourth place in this group. For my final prediction, I think that both Macedonia and Armenia will completely dominate this group, and I find it quite unlikely that any of Liechtenstein and Gibraltar will take any points away from these two teams. However, I think that in the end, Macedonia will just have something more than Armenia and will manage to finish at the top of the group, therefore guaranteeing a spot in next season's League C, as well as a guaranteed ticket to the Euro 2020 playoffs, as at least one Division D team is guaranteed a place in that major tournament. So that leaves Armenia in second place, but still a long way above Lichtenstein, which, in my opinion, after two very interesting games against Gibraltar, will just manage to edge Gibraltar and finish in third place, leaving Gibraltar in fourth and last place. So this brings us to the end of the fourth episode of my prediction series for the 2018-2019 edition of the UEFA Nations League, where I went through and analyzed, as well as gave my predictions for all four leagues. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and the whole series in general, and if so, I'd really appreciate it if you'd click that like button and also subscribe to my channel. Also, let me know in the comments down below what your predictions are for League D of the UEFA Nations League, and I'll see you guys later.